I invoke and invite the presence of Seth within me. I am clear and open to sharing this body in this moment. Seth is my guide and my partner. Seth is here now. Peace, blessings, and joy, beloved. This is Seth. We are very grateful to once again have the opportunity to speak with you, and we wish to elaborate on our message from earlier, from before, about the era of the heart and the challenges that you will be facing. These challenges or lessons that are part of the heart curriculum, as it were, can be divided roughly into two categories: the global and the individual. Now, these are not so separate or distinct as they may seem in terminology, for they are often a mirror of each other or even a subset. But the lessons that face your planet and your species, many of them as categorized by the heart era and the energy that you find yourselves in now, are pertaining to the global field of human consciousness. These are the things that many of you may be practicing individually, but they have not taken firm root or become established behaviors or systems within your societies, within your nations, within your governments. These are the principles of connection, community, interdependence, symbiosis that you will have to explore as a society, as a culture. And some will hit certain successes and face the same challenges that they may have been facing before. Others may overcome those challenges, creating new successes in their fields, in their areas of the world, while they face a different set of challenges and lessons to be integrated. The most important principle in all of these affairs of the world, this is primarily seen in government laws, and organization, even in economic doctrine. The important thing to keep in mind is that many are still in transition from an era of fear, survival, an era of power, for these are foundational to your growth and development. These are past eras, but the energy remains as part of your foundation and can still be thrown into confusion and imbalance. But as you have developed as a species, as a global consciousness, you are moving into a new level of complexity. The era of the heart is going to have so many challenges and lessons and excitement, for you have begun the exploration of your relationship with the world, with each other, with the environment, with your politics, with your resources, with the creatures that you share this planet with. And the second category of lessons and development is individual and personal. There are many cultures within your existing national boundaries that are considered subcultural groups, subsets of people, categories such as race or ethnic background or even shared religious belief. These are identities that help you to live in community, to help you to connect and trust those outside your immediate social circle. But these energies are still very important, and they are integral to your growth as a species. When you are able to live in that communal energy with those who are closest to you, you face personal questions about your own relationship to the world around you. What is your relationship to nature? What is your relationship to your food chain? What is your relationship to the animals, to the environment? These are questions that you will be grappling with. And every relationship is not so easily categorized as healthy or toxic. There will be things about your relationship when you begin to analyze and think deeply that are very healthy, that are mutually beneficial. The symbiosis is strong in those areas. But you will be looking for how you can improve your relationship. This is the primary difference between the era of the heart and the era of power. In the era of power, things were far more black and white. You either had power or you did not. And the imbalance of power could create many injustices and much suffering, whereas equally shared power could create mutually beneficial connections. But this was a proving ground. This was an era where you learned to master those energies, both individually and as a collective. In the era of the heart, the individual development and growth of each component being affects the whole. You have lessons and goals to achieve as an individual, but you are still intricately tied to the health and goals and lessons of the collective whole. When a brother or sister or sibling is suffering, you are suffering. You are losing a beneficial connection because their suffering creates isolation, unless they are in a space where their suffering has enabled them to reach out and build bridges and bonds of community and friendship. Seeking help when suffering is one of the greatest forms of strength that you have. We have said this before as the era of power being power over the environment, power over your food, power over your life. But in the era of the heart, you have power through. You as an individual can still achieve and attain and aspire, but you have power through your community. When you face adversity, when you face challenges, your ability to connect with others, to network, to use the resources of the collective whole, has become amplified in the era of the heart. Your individual lessons are for you, but they do not supersede the lessons of the group. So if you have a fantastic relationship with nature, with the animals under your care or that are part of your food system, if you are vegetarian or vegan, this is what is meant for you. You have found an appropriate balance for yourself. But by trying to exercise power to implement that lifestyle choice, that approach and relationship, by implementing or mandating or regulating that to everyone in your sphere of influence, you are living in an old energy. You must allow and respect every being to approach and analyze their relationship with those aspects of their life in a manner that is appropriate for them. We wish to remind you at this time that even the animals that inhabit this planet with you have their own karmic path, their own destiny, their own role to play in the drama of the planet. For some, it is to be a food source, but this is not their full being. This is not their full essence. They have come to experience a slice of this reality that is important for their individual development. There are lessons that they are still learning in regards to the lower eras, the era of survival, the era of procreation, the era of power, and their lack of it. So yes, compassion for the food chain, for the animals that have become part of your society and how it feeds itself. That is important. Your relationship to them is important, but you must respect the path of every being. This is the primary focus of this message. No matter if you are dealing with your own individual lessons to be learned, or the lessons of collective humanity, which you may advocate for, but you cannot force upon. You must show respect for the path that every individual being has to walk for themselves. This is the greatest way to show love, by showing that respect and support, no matter what it is that those beings must endure and go through, by supporting their journey in the manner that is appropriate for them. You are aiding their highest development that far exceeds their lifetime and their experiences on this planet. The era of love and connection is inextricably linked with the energy of consent and respect. These are the lessons we wish for you to take to heart in this message. When you are practicing and analyzing your relationship with different areas of your life as an individual, we ask you to look for where you can practice better consent, both seeking and giving, as well as respect, both seeking and giving. This individual exploration that each of you will be occupying, this space of exploration in the Heart Era, feeds into the collective health and well-being of the planet. It feeds into the path of evolution, the trajectory of the human race, and its relationship to the world and beings around it. The third component is spiritual. You have been living in a fairly material world for many thousands of years. But the third component is that you must now begin to live in a more spiritual state, being more aware of your relationship to the ethereal, to the supernatural, as you call it. You are sovereign in your space. How you choose to explore that relationship with your higher self, with higher energies, is your choice. It is your journey to explore. But remember to practice consent and respect in all facets. This was Seth. Peace, blessings, joy, connection, and growth be with you all. Peace be with you. Thanks for tuning back in. I felt this energy that Seth had some more to say that wasn't quite going to fit with last week's message, so I guess this is sort of a part 2. But if you haven't seen that message, I'll link it at the end of this video so that you can go back and watch last week's message from Seth. I believe my guidance has been sharing that various guides will be coming in to speak this season about the era of the heart and the different areas of our life and how to approach them from a heart-centered perspective. So that is, roughly speaking, going to be the theme for this season, and I am so glad that you're joining me on this journey. These are lessons for me too. and the era of community is especially important to me because I am someone who makes very small social circles. I have very few friends, but they are close friends when I do make them. And these lessons around community building are as much for me as for anyone. So that is something that I am seeking to do this year, especially reaching out and connecting with others, sharing our journeys together, sharing our triumphs and our struggles. But I really appreciated Seth's emphasis today on the energies of consent and respect. I think that is a component that often gets overlooked, especially when we think we've really got the answers. And that can be very difficult when confronted with someone who's not aligned with you and your values and the things that you think are important. But consent and respect is so vital to every relationship, and I really, really loved that emphasis for today's message. So thank you for joining me. And if you have questions or if this sparked something for you that you'd like to discuss, please leave some comments below the video, or you can reach out directly through my website at universalreiki.com and we can chat that way as well. So thanks again for joining us this week. And until next time, I hope you remember that everything is made of love, and that includes you and me. So thanks for sharing that relationship with me today and for making us a part of your journey, us being me and Seth. This was Daniel Zafer-Joyce for Universal, and I'll see you next week.